906 words, within the 900 plus or minus 5% target. Note: this is an original fictional case, Curtis Hale / Ridgeline Grain Elevator, rather than a real documented disappearance. Since none was specified, let me know if you'd like it built around a real case instead. The night nobody can account for. In 2015, Curtis Hale clocked in for the overnight shift at the Ridgeline Grain Elevator in Loop City, Nebraska, and then the 4 security cameras covering every exit blinked to static for 112 minutes, with the locked doors, the alarmed gate, and 40 acres of open ground turning up nothing. Nobody entered. Nobody left. When the picture came back, Curtis was gone. Keep that number in mind. 112 minutes. We're coming back to it. And that is the problem. Curtis Hale was 34, a night watchman who had worked Ridgeline for 6 years without a single write-up. Coworkers called him Steady, the guy who double-checked the same lock twice out of habit, not nerves. That evening he ate dinner with his sister, dropped off dog food for her golden retriever, and told her he'd call in the morning like always. At 10:58 p.m., the gate camera logged his truck entering the yard. He signed the paper logbook at 11:03, the same looping cursive he'd used for 6 years. At 11:42, the last confirmed frame shows him on the west catwalk, flashlight in hand, checking a grain temperature sensor. Routine, unremarkable, the last ordinary minute anyone can prove happened. At 11:44, the facility's own automated log shows all 4 cameras mounted independently, on separate power circuits, covering the north gate, the south dock, the catwalk, and the office door, dropping to static within the same 11-second window. Not one after another. Together. The alarm system, wired separately from the cameras, logs no door events during that stretch. Not the man door, not the loading bay, not the fire exit. At 11:51, a passing deputy confirmed Curtis's truck was still parked exactly where it had been, engine cold. At 1:20 a.m., the grain sensor he'd been checking logged a reading, meaning someone or something was still near that catwalk after the cameras went dark. At 1:34, the static cleared. The catwalk was empty. His flashlight was found still switched on, resting upright against the railing, exactly where a man might set it down for a moment. By 6:15 a.m., when Curtis failed to sign the morning handoff, his supervisor called the sheriff. Search teams arrived within the hour. They lowered a man on a harness into 40 feet of wheat in the grain bins, finding nothing but grain. They checked the pit beneath the leg elevator, the tunnel system, the loading dock, the scale house. Cadaver dogs worked the property for 2 days and alerted on nothing. State Patrol swept 11 square miles by helicopter with thermal imaging. The Loop River, 400 yards east, was dragged for 6 days. Divers searched a flooded quarry a mile north. His truck, still cold and locked, held his wallet, phone, and lunch cooler untouched on the seat. Nothing was missing except the man himself, and the 112 minutes he disappeared inside. Investigators' first theory was simple. Curtis knew the facility better than anyone, and he'd walked out the service door on his own key code, staging the rest to look strange. People do vanish on purpose. Death's a second life, a marriage under strain. Investigators quietly checked all 3 and found nothing that fit. Still, the theory held for weeks because it explained the missing minutes and a flashlight left standing upright instead of dropped. If Curtis simply walked out and into a waiting car, the cameras wouldn't need to fail at all. He'd just have to know where they didn't reach. It was the theory that made the case make sense. For a while. Then the manufacturer pulled the door hardware logs investigators hadn't known existed. The service door recorded every open event electronically, separate from the alarm, timestamped to the second. It hadn't opened once that night. Not at 11:42. Not at 1:20. Not until day shift arrived at 6 a.m. Forensic techs dusted the push bar and found only a fine, undisturbed layer of grain dust. The same dust that settles on every surface overnight. The same dust that would have smeared under any hand pressing down to leave. No hand had touched that door in hours. The walkout theory now required something impossible. A man bypassing a locked, alarmed building with no recorded exit, crossing 40 acres of monitored farmland without tripping a single sensor. The team that dismantled the theory could offer nothing to replace it. Here is what the county's technicians never resolved. The static was not a malfunction. 4 independent systems on 4 separate power circuits produced the identical 11-second start time and the identical 112-minute duration, then resumed within 1 second of each other. No storm that night. No power event on the grid. No maintenance scheduled. Engineers who reviewed the footage called the synchronization not possible under the system's own design. Something interrupted 4 unrelated cameras at once. For the exact length of time Curtis Hale was unaccounted for, and then let go the moment he was gone. Curtis Hale has never been found. No remains, no sighting, no financial activity, nothing in 11 years. The Ridgeline case remains open, reviewed annually, unsolved. The flashlight still sits in an evidence locker, its batteries somehow still holding a charge. If 4 separate systems failed for the exact length of his absence, and only his, what do you call the thing that turned them back on?